Hello guys, so a bit of an issue here on my Alfa 155. The wipers do this symptom. As I have the intermittent on, I have this symptom on the wipers. And this is very bad for the mechanism. It creates a lot of wear. As I pass it to the continuous speed, it goes perfect, no problem. As I have it on intermittent, no matter the speed or the intervals of the intermittent, the problem persists. As I do a wipe, just a pass, it does the same, okay? If I time it with my finger, it goes okay too. So let's try to see what is the problem. So as you can see in here, it is going crazy actually. It does not even stop, and it should stop. So let me just... Okay. And you see the problem. Not the problem, the symptom. See and hear it. So here on the whiteboard, I hope it's much easier to understand than just filming on the piece of paper that has the schematic. So here I tried to simplify as most as I can the electrical system for this particular function. And here I will try to explain you what is the issue that I have and what is the path that I will do to find the problem. So the symptom is, and the symptom is the most important thing that I want to know when I'm trying to go after an electrical fault or mechanical fault or whatever problem I may have. So the P1 is the motor for the wipers, okay? And it has a plug with 3 wires. On those 3 wires, we have the number 3 over here that is directly to the chassis of the car, to the battery, to the ground. On the number 2, we have the positive that goes to the N14, that is a timer relay for the wipers that does not only the intermittent but also the continuous, but let's get to it in a moment, okay? And we have the number 1 that is the signal of the end of the track of the wipers. These 2 are the most significant on this problem. My symptom is on intermittent velocity when I have my wipers on time, so I have a pass and then they rest for a few seconds, now the pass and they rest. Every time they get close to the end of the line for the signal, they start to shake a lot, and that creates a lot of problems on the mechanical side, a lot of wear, as you can imagine. This problem is very old on my car, basically since I bought it in 2008. Why just now I'm going after this is because it is the only car that I have running right now, and it's raining, and I really have to do this. It's not pretty. So what we have here is the G1 is the fuse box. Inside of the G1 we have the N14, that is the timer relay. I hope I'm saying this stuff right, okay? And why is this important is you have an interconnection between these lines. So the signal wire goes from the number 1 of the motor to the P1 to the relay, but first it encounters a plug, okay? Also true here with the positive between the number 2 and then 14, we have an interconnection over here, and the same thing for the signal that comes out of the wiper stock, that also encounters here several interconnections. Interconnections on old cars are the root of all electrical problems. Not all problems, but most of them. And why I'm saying that with most sure is because the N14 is new and original. It has just a few years, and it did nothing to solve the problem. And the motor, the P1, is also new, but it is aftermarket. As you may know, I do not like to do stuff like this. I do not like to change parts just because. But to tell you the truth, when I was younger, obviously I did not know as much as I know today. The little that I know today, and yes, at the beginning I did that stuff that most of you guys do, change parts, okay? So I did that in the past, and in the past that did not work. That's how I learned to do stuff as it should be done, to diagnose stuff as it should be done. So I may have a problem with interconnections, and I may have a problem with the signal wires or the signal inside of the motor. Despite the motor being relatively new, it may have a problem inside. Let's check that out on the car. So the thing is, inside of the V68, that is the wiper stock, you have several wires, but for this function, only those three will be important. So you have the fourth that is connected to the ground, and you can select for the number 6, that is the intermittent speed, okay, that goes from here to here, and you can select the number 3, that is the continuous speed. For the continuous, that goes from here, it goes to the relay, and the relay commands a positive. For the continuous, we know that the problem does not exist, so we know, for example, that this wire over here is good, okay, because it is the same wire for the intermittent and it is the same wire for the continuous. So interconnections, plugs, wire interconnections, it is functioning correctly. But despite that, let's connect here an H7 lamp, like I like to do, as you know, to see the brightness of the lamp, and in that way see if we have a correct working mechanism on the continuous. Knowing that, confirming that, we know that the 3 and the 2 are working perfectly, so we can discard the ground, the wire, the connections, the interconnections on number 3, and we can discard the entire wiring loom on the number 2. The only thing that remains is the motor, the wire for the signal, the interconnections. The relay is new. So, and inside of the motor, you can have the end of the line, the contacts for the end of the line may be bad from factory. Yes, that is true. So I hope in this way you can understand what I'm trying to do here. I hope this is a simpler way to show you what I'm doing. Let's remove all the stuff to get to the wiper motor. I already did a video for maintenance of that area. It's down on the description below. As you choose an intermittent speed, you send a signal through this wire to the relay, and the relay now sends a positive through this wire, and as soon as the wiper motor does one cycle, it touches the contacts inside and sends a signal to the relay to say this cycle is over, okay? And now the relay will count the seconds to command another cycle 3 seconds later or 5 seconds later, no matter what that is. On this card, we can change the intermittence between each pass of the wipers, but despite that, the problem persists just faster. The more I turn the intermittence closer, the more the problem persists, but closer as well. So that does not have any concern on these schematics. I like to use the H7 because it has 2 prompts, okay? You can also use a multimeter or an oscilloscope, but this is visual. I can do other stuff and see on the corner of my eye the H7 blinking or not. If the H7 blinks, I know I have a problem on the line or on the relay or on the signal wire. So on this signal wire is what? Is negative. So if it is negative, I will get a positive, put a light bulb or a multimeter or an oscilloscope and try to see if this line blinks, okay? If this does not blink and this does not blink, the issue is on the inside of the motor. If this one blinks, the issue is with this wire or also here the end of the line, and we'll get there, okay? We will get there. So as you can see, we have here the plug with 3 wires. Forget these 2 for now, okay? I will explain you later what those are. And I want to also thank my colleague who offered me this multimeter. Thank you very much for that. And as you can see, we have a close to 12 volt functioning, okay? So normal. As I turn it to intermittent, it's impossible to see here what is happening with the multimeter. If I had an oscilloscope, it will be different, but I do not have it. So it turns out the schematics are not complete. And this was where I struck out every time I attempted to fix this. So these 3 wires, this negative one is permanent. The positive one, I thought it was only commanded by the relay to do the working of the motor, but no, it is permanent as well. So I have the ignition on and no wipers are applied, and I have a permanent negative and positive. So this changes everything, okay? So what happens is I have here negative and positive to feed the electrical board inside of this system, and then I have the signal wire to do the same job that it is on the electrical diagrams, okay? Afterwards, after this signal is processed by the relay, it will command via, via this signal here for the motor to turn on, and this motor works with these two wires, okay? So these are the wires that actually turn over the motor. So the problem must be between the signal and the turning of the motor. So inside of the motor or the signal itself to the relay. I have here a 5-watt lamp, and I can see this is negative and this is positive to the motor, and I can see the issue here. So the motor is not being commanded as it should. Why? We must open it and try to figure it out. The issue may be on the motor itself, on the board itself, that is new. The contacts that are inside the motor, that is the most common thing to happen, or this wire, the wire or the connections. If I try to measure this line here, I'm provoking a jump on the system. Yeah, this is permanent of the negative. It works fine. Strange. Very strange. So this is not wrong completely. So turns out this is permanent. Okay, this signal is permanent. But now on the motor itself, I have an electrical board with 2 wires, and this goes actually like so. So I have an electronic board. Okay, as I turn the motor, I have some metal fingers that detect the end of the way of the motor. That is translated by the electronic board and sent to the signal wire. My intuition tells me the problem is on the metal fingers. But that thing is new, man. Jesus Christ. That thing is new. The electronic board is sold separately and is new. I remember that now. This is new. This is new. I already tried a stock, a used one, completely the same. So I will open the motor and see for myself the fingers that detect the end of the line for the motor, and I also will see the contacts, because I already seen this on the Renault. When I open and close this, the whole assembly, inside there are contacts that are maintaining the contact via pressure, okay, physical pressure, and I had a problem on that on the Renault, but the symptom was different. This is interesting, but it's at the same time a bit awkward. Yeah, and another thing that is bothering me, I'm sorry for this, is as I was disassembling everything, I noticed a hole on the car. Yeah, a rust hole. So I'm a bit affected by that. Okay, so let's carry on. Let's disassemble this assembly. Possibly I will have to control this wire, the number 1 wire, from here to the interconnection to the relay. That is not difficult to do, but it can be misleading, okay? Because I have to I have to disconnect it on both ways. I have to create a circuit, because what is the best way to control a wire? If it is an old wire, unplug it on both ways and see if you have continuity is not enough, okay? Because the wire being so old, it can be corroded or can have any kind of contamination, and you have to create a circuit, a tension in the circuit to see if it loses the set tension. So I will try to create a negative or positive circuit, a made one for that wire to control if it is physically resistant enough. But that is for the second stage. For the first stage, let's disassemble that thing over there, okay? So permanent, it is okay. We already saw that on the multimeter. Negative, it is okay. So these two ones, okay, we can scratch that. The motor turns out fine. So we have this signal wire to check these two ones. One negative is okay, and the other one is also okay, because when we have the continuous mode, it lights up perfectly, so no issues there on the wire itself. Electronic board, the metal fingers, the contacts inside of the assembly, the signal wire, the interconnections, and on the third stage, if this is not fixed yet, we have to go on into this section over here. Maybe we can have an issue here on the connections. Well, this is getting long. So this one is done. Try to see before disassemble if I can notice any problems. And so far, no. I can see I have a relay over there. Maybe the issue is that. So let's continue on. So taking this out with the fingers very calmly, gently, to see if something is off. So there's the fingers. There's the tracking. Everything appears to be perfect, unless I have there. No. I clean this out with a piece of paper. This is so frustrating. So frustrating. So we have here the motor with this gear, this plastic gear. I think this is all perfect. I will test it anyway to see if it rotates well. But it does, because on permanent velocity it works well. I do not have any connections to worry about, unless these two fingers over here. I can give it a little bit more force on them, but that usually does nothing to help. Okay, maybe not so much. Okay, so here we know it's all okay. In here, this is new. This is new, and it is Magneti Marelli brand. Okay, not new, but recent. It was assembled by me, and the only thing remaining to see is the signal wire. I cannot disassemble this to see the relay underneath to test it. That's a shame, because it is welded together, and I do not want to mess with this because my welding is less than perfect. And for now I do not want to mess with this, so I will assemble it. I will test the signal wire to the relay and see if that is the issue. Before that, I will just try to pass here a very fine abrasive in here and on there, because I'm seeing a pattern that is not very good. Put this cancer in my head. Great, now I do not have the electric grease to put in here. Nah, it's not available in Portugal. How can that be? Maybe I could order it online, but I always seem to forget about that. Much better. Wow. The sandpaper is very old and degraded, so I'm using a very dull part of it to do this. Now my concern here on this side is that one, so I have a finger that goes on the inner part of the track and another one that goes on the outer part, and it has some it has a step over here and here, and I am afraid it has a low. Okay, so it is not straight. It has some wear on it. I don't know if you can see it. It's very difficult to see. So for that I will pass my trusty old sandpaper. So see if I can encounter any improvement. Even if I do not encounter any improvement, this will be a great maintenance procedure. And a bit of force. Bit of force on it also to be stronger against the tracking here. Okay, the other one the same thing. So I noticed that these fingers over here, the points, I think they should be platinum and they are copper. I think the issue, well, I hope the issue is that if this works fine now, it means that yes, the poor quality of the assembly is the cause of this problem. Because if I remember correctly, when I assembled this new assembly, it did work fine for about a month or two. But at the time, as this problem was on and off, I did not understood that the problem was indeed from here or other place else. Okay, is enough to lubricate the whole system. Now assemble it very carefully to not to break any of the pegs. If it were a screwed-on assembly, I think it will be better because of the vibrations. They tend to move about, and the fingers on the tracking maybe will have much more life to give, but let's try it anyway. Okay, not much movement to talk about, but again, it's strange, very strange. Well, as you can see, it is working perfectly. One simple, stupid, my God, how is this possible? A thing that is almost unseeable. It is because those fingers that go to the tracking, I keep calling it tracking, but I'm sure it is not, were not made of platinum. The tips are just copper. And there is the reason why in 1 year from now, this will be the same. And this part over here is OEM. Oh my God. Well, at least now I have this video to remember me. The issue is this one. So guys, this is really messed up. So in fact, we had a problem on the signal, but not the wire. The signal itself was bad because on the inside of the motor, we have there's two prongs, and one of them or both of them were not touching correctly on that. So in that way, the signal was not correct. This is very, very, very awkward because we cannot trust anything right now. The new parts, especially nowadays with the internet supplies, is sad. It's really sad. This is not the case. It was a official Bosch shop, but they are known to do some strange things. But that doesn't matter right now. What matters is the problem was the contact between this track and the fingers. As it is on the inside of relays, the high quality ones at least, and on the inside of the buttons to open and close the windows, the high quality ones at least, the tip, that as you could saw, it has to be, this part over here, has to be platinum because of the wear that is subjected to. If this is not protected with some high resistance material, every time it passes that blank spot, that is the issue. Every time it passes that blank spot, that is actually have a step that is worse even. You will start to have wear on that tip, and that is how the problem starts to persist and persist, and that's how I had just sometimes the issue now is more often, and the signal that passes through this prom is now all messed up, and the relay being electronic relay starts to mess up everything as well because it does not now starts to confuse the time with the last stop, and as the motor is stopping, as it is jumping actually the needle, the relay just does not know how to process that information and actually stops. Okay, that is a safety feature of that relay over there. So next year, probably, or 2 years from now, I will have the same issue, but now I have this video to remind me that the issue is on the inside of the motor, and in that way I can do a cleanup of that entire area and maybe actually cover the rust hole and change out the cabin air filter as well. Okay, for the assembly of this whole thing, I will do a separate video because I also want to tell you about the position of the wiper arms themselves, because here in Portugal we have the policy that the insurance companies can actually replace your windshield for free once a year if you crack it or somewhat or whatnot, but the teams that do the replacement of that normally do not know how to place the wiper arms, and they get all messed up. So I'll do a quick video for that, and for the assembly and tune of this motor, because I think there is a lot of interesting stuff to talk about that as well. Okay, so very annoying video. Electric videos are always very annoying for you guys. I understand that perfectly, but also I hope you to understand that these principles of approaching a problem may serve you for all kinds of equipments, not only the wiper motor or something else. Okay, I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.